sec. I just need to see what's happening with my, okay, here we go. Okay, so let me just shut down my thing here, just 1 second. Okay, I'm just hiding my panel. Okay, so the vision that we have here is of empowering kids. Sorry again, somebody's typing or something like that. We just need to make sure that everybody's on mute listening. So empowering.
Okay, so I think what's happening is that it actually muted everybody, and I unmuted some people. But if you're on a computer or a phone, if you could mute yourself, and that way we're not controlling you from afar, that would be good.
Okay, thank you. So the vision of PJ Our Way is really when we empower kids and really give them the chance to help create content, help us create programs and connect with the books and with their peers, then the empowerment of these kids really influences parents. So instead of like PJ Library, where we really speak to the parents and the parents help us influence the 2, 3, 4-year-olds, this is kind of the other way around. Empowering kids influences parents, and you can see a parent in Baltimore here has this wonderful quote that PJ Our Way has really enriched our lives and helped me as a parent teaching my kids about Judaism. And when we influence the parents through empowering the kids, we enrich the communities. This is a wonderful example in the photos of the right of Cleveland's local design team who met throughout the year and then helped run the Yom HaTzmaut activities for the community. The context. As we talked about, PJ Library really engages young families, and you see here this is a music together with Passover themes program, but you can see the little kids are really taking in what the singer is giving over, as opposed to PJ Our Way, which really puts kids, the 9, 10, 11-year-olds in the driver's seat through, first and foremost, the website engagement on PJ Our Way, writing reviews and all the things that kids can do on our website. And then these are the things we're going to go through tonight, these other programmatic ideas. Our national design team and local design teams, book clubs, which we'll talk about, local events such as launch parties and author signings, virtual programs, which is something new that we're going to pilot in Silicon Valley. PJ Our Way goes to camp, so the connection with camps is a very vibrant one with this age. The Kid Advisory Committee and Ambassador Corps that I'll talk a bit more about. And last but not least, and very importantly, your great ideas, which in this pilot we're excited to hear about. Okay, so the first thing, the most important thing I think when we're looking at a new age group, and really these 9, 10, 11-year-olds is new for PJ Library. You know, many of you I know have been working with PJ Library and working with 2, 3, 4, 5-year-olds, and now we're turning to a whole new age group with new needs and new developmental needs. So what are these needs? Physical. Believe it or not, these kids, because their muscles are developing and their strength, balance, and coordination, they need to move around. And this is something really to remember if you're doing something like a book club or even a launch party, but because we work with books, the image is sort of the child sitting and reading. Try to work in movement, theater, action. We'll talk more about that as we get into specific programs. Social. They love clubs. They love any kind of group with their peers. Again, very important. Often it's tempting to say, hey, we're having a PJ Library event. It's for 5-year-olds, but let's just make it a family event. But you really need to think about the fact that at this age, they like to be with their own age. They don't always love to be combined with younger kids unless they're in a mentoring or a helping role. As we saw with the Cleveland's Yom HaTzmaut event, they were really running something that then little kids could participate in. And they love older role models, and that can be teens as well, which we really see when we see these kids at camp. Inspired, compassionate, connected adult or teen means the world to this age group. Emotionally, they need praise and encouragement. You know, it's not about who can read the best or who can write the best or who makes the best movie. It's really about, wow, you did great. You learned this. You got this skill. They're beginning to explore what matters to them, which means they may have real ideas as they read these books and do these programs about some of the Jewish values. And again, they thrive with a dynamic, caring adult who connects to them. And finally, intellectually, remember that reading skills will vary at this age. Another reason to do programs that don't always depend on reading. And they love hobbies and collecting. And they have an increased attention span. They can, they can really sit and talk about themes in a book and things like that. But again, diversity of activity. They like to do a bunch of different things. So, okay, that is this first part. And I think now we are going to go into what is very dear to my heart, the National Design Team. National Design Team is just a wonderful piece of PGR Way. It was really the first programmatic piece besides the kids contributing to the website. And it's a team of kids from around the country that work with me monthly, that get the books ahead of time and really preview them and write reviews, make movies, interview authors to put content on the website. We are actively recruiting now, and applications are due October 19th. I think the thing I wanted to say to all of you, because I know that we haven't launched in the new communities yet, though that will be coming up soon, is that even if you know 1 or 2 or 3 9 to 11-year-olds, and we're looking for boys now, we've gotten a lot of girl applications, but girls, of course, as well. If you know a few children that you think would be great, that would love the responsibility, that would love the creativity, that would really shine being, representing your community, I would encourage you to reach out to them personally at this point. Communities will be notified by winners and given a list of local applicants around October 30th, and that list you can then use to create local design teams or to connect to your programming. New design team members will be notified November 2nd, and from November to December, that's a time that you can really highlight your local design team members in the press. So you can see below this Annabelle Burke from Chicago. She was highlighted in their newspaper, their Jewish press, and it's very exciting for them. It's very exciting for your community because everybody loves to see engaged kids. And finally, from November to June, we'll be creating content for PJR Way, the design team. So please, please get the word out now. And if you have any questions, please email me and I can help you more. Okay, we are now going to turn to Kelly. Kelly, are you there?
I am here.
Woo-hoo! Kelly is our amazing professional from Cleveland, and she's going to talk to us about the local design team that she created in Cleveland and how you can make a local design team also in your community. So I'm going to do the clicking for Kelly while she speaks. So here we go. Hit it, Kelly.
Okay. So first, we wanted to do this as a spin-off of the national design team. We thought that there were way too many talented kids, and we wanted to develop a leadership core. So we encouraged them to apply for the national design team, and Saskia sent me all the applications for the local design team. The way we did this is we really worked with our partner organizations. We reached out to our camp counselors, our theater directors, and had them create, we created the email blast that basically says, you've been selected to apply for Cleveland's local design team. Made it very simple. Before we created the local design team, of course, we had some very clear goals about our local design team. We also identified a lot of PJR Way partners, including our Children's Youth and Teen Services, J Day Camps, our Playmakers Youth Theater, our residential camp, our Jewish Life and Arts and Culture partners at the JCC, and it went on and on. Then we planned a 6-part program. There's a lot of feedback on this line. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Anyone?
Yep, sounds great.
So we planned our program. What's the next thing, Saskia? We did group interviews. So anyone who applied for the national design team was sent a confirmation email saying that they have been chosen to apply for the local design team, and we sent them a confirmation of what that meant. We had a parent meeting to explain to the parents the goals of the event, why this was a wonderful opportunity for their children, how we were going to communicate, and we told them everything up front. And then we had group interviews. So we actually hired 2 volunteers librarians who did fun workshops with the kids talking about books and reading. We did a photo shoot. We did icebreaker games to really get to know the kids. All of what we did really depended on the PJ Our Way platform. We used the books in our 6-part series. And we think it was a wonderful, wonderful addition to the program. We've learned a lot. And then the last part is that we did a lot of evaluation because we wanted to see what we could do better. We actually created a little video at the end where we interviewed the kids and their parents. And some of the things that were said included, it was a great chance to learn cooperation and creativity. They loved working and meeting new kids. They loved working with their peers, and it really promoted Jewish values.
Great. Thank you, Kelly. And before we turn to questions, I just want to point to the top right there. When she says plan programs, Kelly really had a beautiful model, which you see in red, where she took a talented adult mentor. And remember, developmentally, that's very important for these kids. She combined that with a lesson plan, which what I love about what Kelly did was that they had, they basically had like an icebreaker, and then they had a Jewish theme for a little mini session, and then the kids met with some community mentor who could teach them a skill, video making or advertising or program planning. And all of this was within a Jewish lens. So again, if you think developmentally, she kept it active, she kept it diverse. She didn't rely too much on everybody reading. She had the adult mentor. It was a compact unit. She kept the parents involved. If anybody is interested, Kelly has created a very good PowerPoint about exactly how she did this, and I'd be happy to send it out to those planning a local design team. Thank you very much, Kelly.
My pleasure. Good luck, everyone.
So now we're going to move on. I guess we're going to have a little break here. And Catriella, are there any questions up to this point?
Yes, there are. Oh, there's a little bit of feedback, and that was what was happening with Kelly also.
Feedback?
Satya,
yeah.
You can mute everybody except for me and you.
Okay, let's see.
Under attendees.
Yeah, okay, just a second.
I think everybody is muted, but for some reason there's feedback. So here, I'm going to just keep.
All right, hold on a second. I'm just looking how to do that.
I think it might be better now. Okay. Oh, no, it's bad still.
Here, wait, let me try this. Is that better?
Hello? Yeah, that's much better.
Okay.
Oh, no, there's still feedback. I don't know why. Okay, hold on. I'm going to try to move to mic and speakers. Hello?
Hi. I can hear you fine.
Okay.
I don't hear any. Do you still hear it?
I think people are confused, so we'll just keep persevering. So there are things that will ask, you know, when the new community will be launched yet? That's a really good question, and we should know for sure by the week, early next week.
I'm sorry, Catriella, but it's harder to hear you now.
Okay.
Sorry.
Can you hear me better?
Yeah.
Okay. So our tech team is now working on getting everything ready in terms of back-end systems, and they told me that testing should be complete by the end of this week, and we should have an exact date that we can launch. So hopefully we'll be able to tell you before Rosh Hashanah, we'll run after Rosh Hashanah.
Catriella?
Even if we haven't launched, can you still apply?
I'm not hearing you so well. I don't know if are other people hearing you better?
Yeah, people are having problems.
I think you were better when you were on your phone or on your whatever it was.
Okay, so if you go to questions, you can pull up these questions.
Okay.
I'll work on.
Okay, hold on. Just a second. Okay, hold on a second. Questions. Okay. let's take a look at the questions. Okay, questions. Just a second here. Let's see, just a sec. Okay. Okay, just a sec. Okay. Okay, it's okay, first of all, that you don't see me because we're not doing it. Okay, do we know when the new communities will be launching it? So the new communities, we don't have an exact date yet. The tech team is working very, very hard to do that. It's going to be, you know, basically fall is our shooting point, and it's going to be just as soon as they get the last things worked out about that, and we will let you know ASAP. Now, even if you haven't launched, you can definitely recruit for both the national and the local design team. And I can send you all again the email that you can send out to either specific kids you know or to community partners that might be interested, that basically says, you know, this is the design team and you can apply right here and this is why it's exciting. And that's something you can definitely promote, almost like a teaser, like PGR Way is coming this fall. And the first step is anyone who's interested can apply to this national design team, and you can add on there if you want to do the local one, and you know, no child will get left behind. You can also join the local design team if that's something you want to do. Yes, so I do have the email and I will send that to you. The applications are basically, it's a SurveyMonkey link that I'll send you again in the email that you can send out, and they apply on SurveyMonkey and they go to me, and then I send them all to you once we've accepted our team. Okay. I hope that the sound is fixed. Let us know if it's not. I will send to everybody the PowerPoint from Kelly. She really put it together well, so if anybody's interested in this national design and the local design team, not the national, but the local team, I'll send you the information from Kelly. And this PowerPoint will be sent to you also tomorrow, which will have the dates on it for the design team. The most important thing to remember for that is that October 19th is when applications are due. So again, you can even just think of, you know, these 4 kids that you want to target, one from camp, one from synagogue, you know, and target them specifically, or you can, you know, put it on your newsletter and on your Facebook and things like that. Okay, let's see. Uh-oh, sounds like you still can't hear.
No, it sounds like everybody's.
Can people hear now? Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, does each community need to have a design team? No. Nope, you definitely do not. You guys, as we'll see as we go along, you have a commitment to doing 3 programs, and a local design team can be one of them. We would love to have a national design team from your community. We can only take 10 from around the country, but it's worth finding some good applicants, because that person can really be a connector for your community, and somebody that you can organize around and do some press around and things like that. Okay, for the communities that have not launched, can we start a design team in the early spring? The design team starts, the national design team has a certain time. It starts, you know, in November and goes through June, but local design teams you can organize any way you'd like. Okay, yay, you can hear. Okay, good. I think that was the questions. Awesome. So we are going to keep moving here. Let me just get rid of this guy for a second. Okay, great. So moving along. So that was thanks to Kelly. That was the local design team. So now Catriella is going to talk to us a bit about putting kids in the driver's seat, how to organize a book club. Go for it, Catriella.
Thank you so much, Saskia. So I'm still echoing. Maybe if you mute yourself, that might help.
Okay, I'll try. Yeah.
Okay, I hope this works better. So I wanted to talk to you today about book clubs. And so, Saskia, if you can just go on to the next thing. We had some great examples. Whenever anybody hears about PJR Way and we say, what kind of programming do you think would work with this age group? The first thing everybody says is book club. But when it comes right down to it, book clubs can be a bit of a tough kind of format to put together. And it can also emphasize, reading over everything else, and some kids are just not great readers. And so the question is, how can you make book clubs as inviting and as appealing as possible? So luckily this year we had 2 really great examples of book clubs that happened. First of all, the North Shore Lapin Foundation created an amazing book club even before we started with PJ Our Way. They had mother, daughter, grandparent, grandchild book clubs. And 2 of the things that they really did exceptionally well were focusing on location and framing. The location of the book clubs were usually in a really, really fun place, like an ice cream parlor, a place where people wanted to go in any case. It became much more of a social occasion, which they framed it as, this isn't just about talking about a book, this isn't just about reading a book, this is about getting together and really socializing over something that's really fun, which is food and ice cream. So they found great success and were able to get, on a regular basis, 25 pairs that would come for this kind of book club. So that was really great. In Baltimore, they also were really successful with book clubs. And Gabi from Baltimore is going to talk for a minute about how they use their book club to highlight a specific event that kind of anchored the book club. So Saskia, if you can unmute Gabi and she could talk for a minute about what happened in Baltimore, that would be great.
Okay, not sure I know how to do that. Let me just see. I never muted her, did you? Let's see. Okay, hold on a second, Gabi.
I can unmute her.
Okay, yeah, that would be great.
Okay, I just unmuted her.
Good. Phew. Hi, Gabi. Gabi? Is Gabi
Can
there?
everybody hear me?
Yes, great. Hi, Gabi.
Hi. Saskia, do you need
Gabi, Saskia, you have to mute yourself.
Yep, I will.
Okay, can everybody hear me now? I hope so. Okay, so what we did this summer is we had a 4-session book club at a local synagogue, and what we had done was we had at our launch event, we had an author come, the author of When Life Gives You OJ. It was fantastic having her come. And so what we did this summer was we actually used When Life Gives You OJ as our summer reading book, and then we had her come and meet with the kids at the end, which was really fantastic. The kids loved it. They created their own OJs. If you haven't read the book yet, I highly, highly recommend it. And what we did was I myself created, with a couple other people here at the Baltimore Center for Jewish Education, 4 lessons, but they weren't just for the kids, they were also for the parents, because here in Baltimore we program for the parents as well as for the children, because at this age, you're not sitting next to your kid in bed reading anymore, having those kind of snuggly conversations as often. So we program for the parents as well as for the kids. So they read the books in tandem, either together or one would read and then the other would read. And it was really fantastic when seeing the parents discuss the conversations with the kids, and we had a couple of local clergy come and discuss it, because there are some really interesting topics. There's a topic of life and death, bullying, being new to a community, being one of the only few Jewish people. So we really tried to frame it in that way, and it was fantastic for the kids to say, oh, wait a second, I met her at the local launch event. Now I'm going to actually get to meet her, sit down, have her sign my book, have her talk about her program, the things that she does, and it was really fantastic. And our kids actually said, like, when are we going to do this again? Are we going to do this in the school year? This is what we want to do. So we're going to try to continue it throughout the school year and again in the summer. And we also did another book club at a local camp, and we're waiting to hear from the feedback from that. Also, same book, same curriculum. So it was pretty fantastic to see the kids really getting involved and asking for more things. They really, really love these books. They really love the topic of these books, and so we're going to continue it because OJ has a sequel. So we're going to continue it on like that, which we thought was really special.
Thank you so much, Gabi.
Thanks, Gabi.
So I'm gonna mute you. Thank you. And so I'm going to go on from there. So really what Gabi was talking about was anchoring whereas North Shore really focused on location and framing it as a social situation, a social get-together, Baltimore really anchored it. So there was the interaction with the clergy from the community, but there was also the interaction with parents, and there was also something to look forward to, which was this author visit, which really kind of pulled the whole thing together. So here are some basic tips for a book club. Saskia, if you'll pull up the next thing. So really what we're talking about is 4 major tips. And Saskia found a great website from a woman who runs tween book clubs, and she'll share the link with you because I think there's a lot of rich information there. But the 4 highlighted ones are: keep it active. As Saskia pointed out, these kids need to be moving, they need to be active. Don't think of it as a book club like we have where we're drinking coffee and eating the whole time. They really want to have some movement involved with it. But food is super important, and that's where North Shore really got it right in terms of the ice cream. And what North Shore and Baltimore both did successfully is take it out of a school realm. The challenge of PJ Our Way is that it's a book program and that it's for tweens. And so what you really want to do is you want to create an environment where, yes, it is anchored in books, and yes, it's anchored in those themes, but it's not like school. It's about having fun. It's about the social. It's about the food. It's about the activities. And never underestimate how much kids really want to talk about book covers. They love book covers, and we've gone head over heels to change some of our ugly book covers to make them more attractive to kids, and that means a lot, and it goes a long way. Next little thing, great. The resources that we can give you in helping with all of this. First of all, we have a very great partner in the Jewish Federation in Seattle, and Noah can talk to this more later as we start to move forward. But they hired a wonderful woman, a wonderful educator named Irit Levin to start writing book guides, and they very graciously shared those book guides with us, and we have a wonderful designer who's put them together in a very readable way, and we're going to make those book guides available to you. And these book guides are about as thorough as you can imagine a book guide being, predicting every absolute discussion question based on topics for each of the books. Eventually, we'll have them for all books. We now have them for about 8 books. And in the next slide, when we get to it, I'm going to show you how you can use those book guides as a way of developing a book club. We're also going to share with you in the next couple of weeks a book club roadmap. And that's going to be a way for you, for either you or for one of your colleagues or for parents, to kind of help you understand how to use PJ Our Way to put together a book club. And the last thing, which is a major resource, is that we're working with our authors to be available to you for either a small cost or no cost, to be available for you for either Skype virtual meetings with your book club kids or actual face-to-face meetings if you're in a location that happens to be near an author, or an author happens to be traveling, or you're willing to pay for an author to come. We have many authors who are very, very happy to work with your kids and work with your book club, and they have lots and lots of experience working with kids in this age group. That's one of the great things about young adult authors, is that they're really involved with this age group, and so they, in many respects, become experts at this age group as well. So if we can go to the next slide, we can go to the next part too, is the chart. So this is something that you're going to be getting in the mail. You're going to be getting this file by email, but I just wanted to show you how some of this can work. You can either go very freestyle and pick a book and start to make a book club around it, and you have the book lineup map that we already sent you, so you know approximately when we're offering books. So the thing to remember about the way we offer books is that if kids come between September 1st and 10th and choose a book, that book will take 4 to 6 weeks until it arrives. So if you want to feature a book in your book club, you need to plan in advance when the kids are going to be getting those books, unless you want to supplement it and purchase some of the books yourself and then have them available. So that's a decision you'll make, and we can help you walk through that. But I wanted to just give you an example. If you wanted to use the book guide and take into account that you need 4 to 6 weeks to get the books, this is something you could do. You could start your book club in December, and you know that every PJ Our Way child, as soon as they sign up for PJ Our Way, they get the same book, which is Jordan and the Dreadful Golem by Karen Goldman, who also happens to be an author who's very available for programming, and we'll talk about that more. So everybody gets that book within 2 to 4 days. So the best thing to do is to start in December and say, listen, everybody bring your copy of Jordan and the Dreadful Golem for the next meeting. And know that this month, in December, you should choose the Path of Names, which we have a book guide for. And then in January, everybody comes prepared to talk about Jordan and the Dreadful Golem. That's the focus of that book club. And you tell everybody, okay, next time bring Path of Names. And you keep going in that way. And we have this map that we'll share with you, which can step-by-step help you use the books as we offer them. All of the books on this map, Welcome Book and Path of Names and When the Hurricane Came and Jesse Star and Now, and etc., all have book guides. So even if you decide you want to have a parent or another educator or a colleague or someone who has no experience with book clubs run the book club, they can use those guides to help you. So you'll be getting that roadmap in the mail. Now, we have some time for questions. Is there any way to get a list where PJROA authors died? So we might, I think you have to mute.
Okay.
Is there any way to get a list of where PJROA authors reside so we might see if one is close enough to come visit our community? Yes, we're developing that list for you as we speak. And we'll give you a whole list including how much they charge and what their availability is like. Do you ask all of the participants to choose the same book for a book club? You don't have to. You can just say we're going to talk about, you know, it probably makes sense to start with a book that everybody's chosen, and then you can ask them to vote on what book they use next. It probably makes sense for everybody to be talking about the same book, but you could also let them break into groups and talk about specific books if they want. Do most communities involve parents at every program? Do the parents meet separately during the book club? So the one that North Shore did and Baltimore, they had them do it together. You don't have to do it. You can make it a kids book club. You can even make a parents book club. We've heard from many parents that they love reading the books. Where do we see the book lineup? We should have sent you, and we can send it again if you need it. You can ask us after the webinar if you haven't gotten it, a lineup, basically a calendar of when the books are going to be offered in PJROA. So just add 4 to 6 weeks to that, and that tells you when the kids are going to get those books. That's a TBD list because purchasing and inventory always change things, but that's basically the list for the next year. Okay.
Okay.
I'm done.
Can you hear me okay without static?
Yes, I'm going to mute myself now.
Okay. Thank you, Catriella. That was wonderful. And again, we're sending you this PowerPoint, so you'll get this roadmap and you can look it over and see if you want to tap into the book guides that we've written. Okay, so moving along now, we are coming to local events. Okay, so when you're going to do a local event for 9, 10, and 11-year-olds, instead of asking, like with PJ Library, where do the families go, you ask, where do the 9 to 11-year-olds go? Look around your community and see what kinds of things 9 to 11-year-olds like to do. For example, in Baltimore, and this again was under Lara and later Gabby and Lisa, they decided, you know, kids this age love to do bowling. So let's do a PJROA launch. We'll pull in an author and we'll connect with a camp. So they did it in partnership with the camps, and we'll do it at a bowling alley. And Gabby, if you're there, I'll mute myself, and you can speak just literally 1 minute about this if you'd like.
Great, thank you. This was a really fantastic event. You know, Saskia, when we planned this event, we really took into account everything that you had said at the beginning, which was getting the kids active and really making sure that it was a place that the kids were going to want to go to. And we even opened it up to a little bit of a younger crowd. You know, the 9, 10, and 11-year-olds is who we were obviously trying to get, but those 8-year-olds, if your community has grown through age 8, is going to be your feeder into PJROA. So we invited the 8-year-olds as well to come to this event, and it was really fantastic. Again, we had Erica Pearl, the author, come, and she spoke to the parents and she spoke to the kids. We had camps tabling at the event so that they will have an opportunity to meet with the kids, and we're doing the same thing again this year at a different place called Sky Zone, which is a trampoline, big, huge trampoline location, also with the camps and again with the parents, just not with an author.
Great. Thanks, Gabby. So where do they go? The next question you want to ask is who in your community does exciting things with this age group? Again, we turn to Baltimore. They did a neat program, and maybe, Gabby, I'll just speak to this since we have a lot to fit into our webinar here, but if there's questions for Gabby, we can take those in a minute. They did an amazing program called PJ Tweens on the Town, and here they really thought, you know, who works with kids this age? And they incorporated a group called Bible Rap, so they could do, this was a pre-Pesach story, so they could sort of tell Pesach, tell the story of Passover, but do it as a rap. And they also worked with an organization called Repair the World. The idea being, again, what Baltimore does so brilliantly is they also engage the parents, not at the same time, but at the same program. So this is another example of when you ask, where do 9 to 11-year-olds go, and who can you use in your community who does exciting things with this age group? Another thing to think about is, and we spoke about this earlier, include diverse age-appropriate activities. And last but not least, utilize the authors. Catriella spoke to this a little. This is an example here on the right. Mark's JCH, a JCC in New York, hosted the Welcome Book author Karen Goldman. Now, she is a wonderful resource for your communities because the Welcome Book, Jordan and the Dreadful Golem, is the only book that every single child in your community is going to receive, and they receive it quickly. They don't choose it because it comes as a welcome book, so it comes within a week or so after they've signed up for the program, and it's even if all the kids don't read it, they all have it. So you could do a really cool event. Karen travels a lot, and we could connect with her to see what her schedule is going to be this year. And even if she doesn't come, the themes in the book are of empowerment. You're your own superhero. You've got strengths that nobody else has. You can help your community, your wonderful community themes. And you can see down below this little girl, when Karen comes, she doesn't just sign the book. She gives out these cute little cards, and she asks the kids, if you had a superpower, what would your superpower be? And this little girl wrote, I want to be the smartest person in the world. And then she wrote that she'd also like to have the ability to be invisible, fly, and read people's minds. So again, Karen comes, you know, she's obviously an author. She's signing a book, but she does a very engaging activity that calls on other things that the child can do to be engaged. And we can hook you up with authors if you know, book signings at your launch is something you're interested in. Okay, do we have, let's see, do we have any questions about local events at all? I will mute myself
yeah, we do have some questions.
Yeah, go ahead, Catriella. I guess, can I, do I have to mute myself?
Go ahead. Well, we can't both be on.
Okay, so
I'll mute myself.
Okay, great. So let's see. Let me just see the questions. Okay, the questions are as follows. Okay, is there any way to get a list of where PJ Our Way authors reside so we might see if one is close to come visit our community? Yes, we are making now a list of the authors, and we're actually reaching out to them to see which of them, you know, most of the authors love working with kids. One or two are a little shy or reticent, but we have a nice list that we're preparing now that we can get to you, which shows which authors have experience with kids, because that's important too, and are interested and willing to come, and where they'd be coming from.
Yeah, we already answered those questions.
Oh,
we're at Ilana Ostrov's questions. Should parents attend these local programs?
Oh, nice. So not as to assume liabilities. That's a very interesting question, and I think that I think that yes, I mean, my instinct would be to say that what Baltimore did was probably the wisest approach, which is they had activities for the kids and then also something for the parent as well. I think that in terms of liabilities, I mean, I think if it's a program that is under a JCC or one of your organizations that runs programs for these age group anyway, that you might be able to, you know, if it's an ongoing book club or something like that, it could be a program where the parents don't have to go. I think you just have to see who your partners are and how they organize it in terms of parents. Can we get a copy of this? Yes, you sure can. Everyone will get a copy of this. Which community just spoke about a PJ? Oh, so that was Gabby in Baltimore, who's planning a program this year at a site where there's going to be a big trampoline and jumping. It's called, I think, Skylab. Is that right, Gabby? Sky Zone, I think it's called. And you know, you're welcome to communicate with Gabby about exactly how she's putting that together. We have a local youth author who is Jewish. I doubt she has a PJ book, but can we broaden things out to incorporate just yes, I think you totally can. Yep, I think that's a very good idea. It doesn't have to be a PJR Way author. I mean, you can still incorporate signing up for PJR Way and you know, have books available. You can have a book rack with PJR Way books. But if you have an author who's good for this age group and they're local, I think that's a great idea. Sky Zone. Thank you, Gabby. Okay, so I think we're going to move on now. Thank you, everyone, for your good questions. Okay. So now we've talked about a number of different things. We've talked about book clubs. We've talked about the national and local design teams. We've talked about local events. All of these things, except for actually the national design team, are based on the ground. But one thing that we've discovered with the national design team is that virtual programming is an option as well. Working with Silicon Valley this year, Silicon Valley had a real issue, which was over-programming of kids this age. These kids were going to soccer, they were going to tennis, they were going to theater, they were, you know, had a lot of homework. They were simply not coming to a program that was organized with a space and a place and a venue in real time. Now, that's not true for every community. So again, these are options that we're kind of a menu we're presenting to you, and you know your community and you know which things will work the best. For Silicon Valley, getting them to come out to an actual book club was not working. So PJR Way staff is working with Silicon Valley, with Ariel, to create a virtual program, kind of based in some ways the way the National Design Team works. Kids connect with peers. It's low stress for over-programmed families. And adult facilitation inspires Jewish conversation. So what does this mean? What Silicon Valley is going to do is they're going to have a 4 or 5-part author workshop series. They're going to offer it online. Ariel has connected with us to talk with Steve Schenken, who you see in this picture talking to a design team member, Annabelle from Chicago. Steve Schenken, Erica Pearl, and the Welcome Book author as well, Karen Goldman, have all agreed that they are willing to do this. Again, we can, as we get you that list of authors and who's near you and who's available, one thing you can think about is if an author is not near you but still looks like a great author, you could do a virtual program like this. This is not the only way to do it, and I want to stress that because it is really important for kids to get together physically and in real time and space and meet one another and do things together. There's nothing like real time, but it is an option. You can create a vibrant program. Let's say it's about making a cool video, or you could take a theme like courage, and you could explore, you know, you could have an author come on, and then you could have kids write something and share it. You know, you could get an online group that could do a you know, once a month meeting like this and create content for our website as well as for your media as well. So virtual programs is an option, and if you're interested in that, we can talk more about it. Okay, PJ goes to camp. So this past summer, we piloted in 9 camps, 10 camps, 9 camps, and it was very successful. What we discovered is that camps can really teach us important information about creating dynamic programs. In some ways, camps are the perfect petri dish for how to make a PJR Way program work. Why is that? Well, first of all, kids love camp, and this is something Catriella touched on, because it's not school. There's no pressure, there's no grades, there's no comparison of one kid to another. It's something that they go to because it's fun and it's community building, and PJR Way can fit into that. And so that's something to remember about your programs, is to keep it fun and to keep it non-competitive. Also, camps are brilliant at focusing on themes. Now, often when you think about a book club or a book program, you think, okay, kids should get the book, kids should read the book, kids should talk about it. Not necessarily so. What camps do that is so brilliant is that they take a theme like, let's say, courage, and they create a whole week program for it, which includes rock climbing and the ropes course and conversations about it and trust games. You could do something like that too. You could have a program through a JCC or something like that. And you could have also the PJR Way books that have those themes of courage or whatever theme you decide to touch on in that book. And that book you could either give it to the children ahead of time and have them read sections and come back and do experiential things and then talk about it, or they could get it at the end after they've had an experiential program and then go home and read a book that connects to that. So focusing on a theme is another great way also to get kids in who are not necessarily readers. Maybe they have dyslexia, or reading is hard for them, or maybe it's just not their thing and they need to go at something that's book-based through a more active venue. Finally, in camps, inspiring counselors are never forgotten. And again, this harkens back to what we talked about previously, that the mentors, the people you pick, either it's you or whoever in your community that's going to do these programs, have to be kind of the way counselors are: excited, love this age group, open to ideas, flexible, all those good things that I'm sure we all remember a counselor from our past or a teacher from our past having. And last but not least, have fun. Cleveland did an amazing program. It was at the end of the summer, and it was called PJ Goes to Camp, and it was PJ Library and PJ Our Way. And did they sit and read a book? Not at all. They did lots of really fun boating and rock climbing and wall climbing and games and contests, but there were books all around. Kids could sign up for PJ Our Way. They went home with books. It was still book related. It was just a much more active program, and it teamed up with a camp, like Baltimore did, by the way, in the program that we showed you, the bowling program. So another way to incorporate camps, besides just learning from them, is to actually partner with them to do your launch, because camps are interested in this age group as well. Okay, so I think now we are going to talk about just a couple more things. I know that time is running on us, but I just want to touch on a few things that are not major programs for us yet, but something that everybody should know about. So the first is the Kids Advisory Committee. Let's say you have a kid, you have someone in your community who has a cousin that's in Rhode Island, and oh darn, that Rhode Island soon will be part of PJ Our Way, but right now in the pilot, they're not a pilot community. I run an informal Kids Advisory Committee. It's basically, I don't advertise it, we don't advertise it, but kids in this age range who are excited about PJ Our Way, who hear about it somehow and want to get involved, I contact them. We meet once by Skype, and then they basically help me decide what books might be good for the next year. The design team is reading books that we've already chosen for PJ Our Way. They're reading them ahead of time, and they're doing content for the website ahead of time, but these are books already in our system. This Kids Advisory Committee is basically looking at books that the PJ Our Way staff has read, but we don't know if kids like them. So for example, let's say Kayla Labgold from Miami, she's 9. She read a book called Escape from Goshen, and she completed her review. She liked it. She and in fact loved it, and so that goes into our database as, a kid enjoyed this book. We try to find a girl to reader, a boy reader for the books that are more geared to boys. So the Kids Advisory Committee is something just to keep in the back of your mind as an option for either kids that maybe are just aged out. Maybe you have an amazing 12-year-old. They could be a reader for us. Or maybe you have a kid who's gonna turn 9, soon, can't get into PJ Our Way until January, but hey, they could be a kid, they could be on the Kid Advisory Committee. Another thing that we're working on is, what do you do? We have like, 30 kids now who've been design team members, and they are probably know the most about PJ Our Way of any kid. What do we do with their great energy and commitment? So we're creating an ambassador corps, and for any of the first-year communities who have design team members in their community, these kids are wonderful for going out to schools, for going to JCCs, for making presentations, for connecting to their peers, and we're creating a program that really allows design team graduates to continue being involved. This is another reason to really recruit even 1 or 2 names to apply for the design team, because once you have a design team member, it goes on, they can really be a mentor for other kids in your community. Okay, we're going to sum up, and then we're going to just take a few more questions, and then we will wish you all a happy Rosh Hashanah, Shana Tova. So in summary, most important things to think about: recruit for the National Design Team now. I'll just say it one more time. Even if you just target 1, 2, or 3 kids in your community that you think would be amazing, please let them know about the design team. Again, when I send out this webinar information, I'll send you the email that has all the information about sign up and what parents should know. It's time to recruit for the National Design Team now. And you can email your community partners as well. We are looking especially for more boys. We talked about, we showed you many different kinds of programs here. So it's time now to really choose a program model, 1, 2, or 3, or create one that you think is will work for your community. You guys are each responsible for 3 PGR Way programs for the year, and in the next, after the Hagim, we'll be sending out kind of a program planning form for you guys to document your ideas and to get started with that. Finally, we talked about partnering with those organizations engaged with tweens, especially camps. This is the time now. Even though you haven't launched yet, you're going to launch very soon in this fall. You can start making those connections with relevant community partners like Kelly did, like Baltimore did, to create those programs that you want to see happen. And last but not least, we are here to help you. You can contact us anytime. We never sleep with any questions, and that would be Catriella and myself. So I'm going to mute myself one more time, but before I go, I'm just going to say Happy New Year, Shana Tova to everyone. So exciting to have you all on board. And now we have a chance to take some questions.
Hi, that was wonderful. Thank you, Saskia. So you mentioned, Elisa says, you mentioned communities are required to do 3 things events through the year. Can you expand on that? So basically, with our help and support and using the planning form, we actually already sent a form for planning, programming, and marketing. It's in your expectations chart, but we'll send it again and we'll talk about it more with each of you. We would like you to do 3 programs during the year. They can be one-off programs, they can be a series of programs, they can be large, they can be small, they can be any style. Basically, it's a way to promote PJR Way in your community, but at the same time, it's really important for us because it's a way for all of us to learn what works with this age group. We're really starting with a whole, we're sort of on the cutting edge of an area that's really unexplored. I think Saskia might have mentioned this, but in the next day or 2, you will receive an email from, we have basically divided you into 2 groups. Half of you are going to be have Saskia as a point person, and half of you are going to have me as a point person. And we're going to be basically there to help support developing marketing and programming strategies on an individual basis. So that will also help. Have you found a good platform to use for virtual program? Google Hangouts is great. So Saskia's had great success with Google Hangouts. She's the expert on that one. Saskia, do you want to mention anything about that?
Yeah, sure. So we started out with Skype, and this is just to show you how these kids work when you really give them some space. With our first design team, 2 months into it, this little boy piped up and said, I noticed we're using Skype. Can I suggest Google Hangouts? And we all said, woo, Google Hangouts. And he proceeded to tell us exactly how to do it. And by the next month, we were using Google Hangouts. We've had great success with it. Again, it's with 10 kids. And if you're going to do a larger video conference, yes, you do want technology that accommodates more kids. I know that GoToWebinar can take up to 1,000, but it can only take, I think, 15 or so in terms of video capacity. So that's part of the reason we've turned to Silicon Valley to help us pilot this, because they are kind of the experts in all things technology. And we will know more as they do this program. But I think that Google Hangouts can work for a small group to get started. And we'll be back in touch with some other options as we develop this a little further.
Great. When will the online application be available for the National Design Team? It is available. Just email Saskia and she'll send you the link. Basically, the link is available and Saskia can send it to you. And if you have anybody who's interested in applying, you can send the link directly to them. Who approaches camps to participate? PGR Way Mothership or local communities. So if you, basically we were in 9 camps, and we are actually we were in 9 camps this past summer. We're looking to expand to many, many more camps this upcoming summer. Most of them are going to be sleepaway camps. If there's a camp that isn't included in our PGR Way list for the coming summer, and we'll know that list soon, then we can help you connect and figure out how to do it, but you can make the initial move in that point. How do you apply to be a part of the advisory committee? Just, there is no application process. If you have specific kids that you think would love to read and review books for us, we're always looking for new reviewers, so just let us know. There's no formal application process. Thank you.
Catriella, can I just add one
thing? Short link.
Oh.
Yes.
Hi, I just wanted to add one thing to the advisory committee. We do have a very short information sheet for parents that we can send you as well about that if you have somebody in mind that might be good for that.
But they should get in touch with you directly. If they need a shortened link example for a printed flyer, Sarah's included one here. Do you have a lot of applications for the design team? We've been promoting in Southern New Jersey. I know that there have been applications from Southern New Jersey, and Saskia's been getting applications every day. Please send the link for the National Design Team to all of us. So Saskia will do that when she sends the presentation tomorrow. When will we get copies of our local applicants for the design team so we know to reach out to them once the team is organized? Saskia will be reaching out to you immediately after she's reviewed all of the applications, so you'll find out very soon. Once she's decided, once the advisory committee has gotten together and decided who's going to be on the team, so you'll get to see if anybody from your community is on the team and who else applied from your community.
Yeah,
we'll approach the Midwest camp.
Yeah. Oh, I was just
Livingston, Emma Kaufman, Golden Union, Wise. Wise is already part of it? Yes. And we will definitely consider some of those as well. Thanks, Elisa. So thank you, everybody. I think those are all the questions. Thank you so much, Saskia. And if you have any other questions, just be in touch. Shana Tova, everybody.
And here's a little shofar. Happy New Year.
Amen.
Okay.